I don't know if Zephyr's ready, but Zephyr, be quiet. Hi, welcome to the Yang Gain Roundtable podcast. I'm Fei Ku, and today we have a very special guest with us. His name is Vincent Kajomo, and he is part of UBI Kenya. And he's here to tell us a little bit today more about what is happening in Kenya. And there's been some very serious disasters, and I'd like to just introduce Vincent to you. And we also have some of our regular roundtable podcasters here. And we're going to host a very lively discussion today. How are you doing, Vincent?
I'm doing good. And you?
I'm well also. And what did you want to talk with us today about?
Okay, thank you. I take this opportunity to thank you for what you have done. I want to share with you what is UBI Kenya and our people and my people are suffering from the flood also. I only have two topics, UBI Kenya and what is happening with UBI Kenya. Secondly, how the flood affected my people and the result of the flood and how we can help them. So if I continue with UBI Kenya, UBI Kenya Universal Basic Income, was started in 2016, and we are started on the online awareness on online, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, everywhere. Then we will come up on the ground also to doing awareness on the grassroots. We are doing awareness from 2016 up to now. Universal Basic Income Movement, it is directed by the Professor Isel Kodiaga. Professor start UBI Kenya 2016. We have come out as a volunteers, and we have done our part as a volunteers. UBI Kenya, it is Universal Basic Income. It is amount of the money that will give the people. It is around 10,000 Kenya shillings money. Into dollars, it is $92.39. It is UBI Kenya will end for 12 years. People will get monthly, pay monthly. But right now, UBI Kenya have not yet started. It is have not yet implementation. We are still doing awareness, and we will wait. And still the Professor Isal Kodiaga come out and tell us how to do now. Right now, we are waiting way forward from Professor Isel Kodiaga to tell us how to come out to do launching of UBI Kenya. We in UBI Kenya, we have some structure of UBI Kenya. We have the director of UBI Kenya, Professor Isel Kodiaga. We have Secretary and Jason C. and Max Massman. We have county coordinators. Then we have sub-county coordinators. Then we have ward coordinators. Then we have something called CAN volunteers or CAN volunteers force. That is on the grassroots now. We have done our part as a volunteers, but we are still way forward to do launching of UBI Kenya. People have not yet received even $1 from UBI Kenya or 1 shillings from UBI Kenya. We are still doing awareness of UBI Kenya. In some weeks back, propaganda come out that Vincent Kajomo received 1 million. That is $10,000 from UBI America. That is propaganda from Professor Isal Kodiaga, because I have come out with the idea of helping people through well-wishers and through my friends on Facebook. And Fanny Dan is part and sent me a little of money that is $500. That is 50,000 Kenya shillings. I have budgeted accordingly very well, and I feed around 200 people with food. Then Professor come out with propaganda that Kajomo received $10 from UBI America. That is wrong. Thank you.
You mean 10,000? So there was a misunderstanding somehow that you had already received 10,000 US dollars in your fundraising efforts when you had only received 500. And
Yeah,
so you've used your $500 that you received through fundraising in the United States to help people during a in the aftermath of a serious crisis. So what
yeah,
happened? What type of does what I've heard about Kenya is that originally there was a plague of locusts descended on the country and much of and wiped out a lot of agriculture. And then in your area, there was also a flood. Is that
yes,
correct? So
yes,
you live in Kisumu County. Am I saying that correctly?
yes. We are living in Kisumu County.
Okay, and that's spelled Kisumu. And it's as easy for anyone to find information about this flood by looking on the internet. Tell us a little bit about what happened in your particular, for maybe for your own family.
Okay, in my family. Okay, I have affected also with a flood. Even me also. Right now, I am homeless. With my family and my mother's also, we are stay in the town. I'm paying the rent about 5,000 Kenya shillings. That is around what? $5. I think so. I'm pay the rent every day, and my people. I also stay with 10 orphans people, 5 boys and 5 girls. I'm also education them. I'm pay them for school fee. Even right now, they are with me in town. I stay with them because they are totally orphans. They did not have father and mother. I'm also take care of them through food, shelter, clothes, and education also. Then my mother also, I must take care of my mother also because my father died 1980 something years back. I only take my mother because my mother take me to go to school, care of me, giving me the pay for me the school fee. So I must take care of my mother. But right now I am in as different. I am very tough because my plant, or I am a farmer also. At the same time, I am a student at part time. The some months on February or May, I have grown some crops on my farm, and when the water come, the flood come, they swept away on my rice, even my vegetables and my fruits also. I am remain like this with my little clothes that I have come out with. All things was destroyed by the flood.
So what I'm hearing is you're taking care of your mom, you're helping with orphans, you're going to school, you have a flood that's hit your place and it's affected your farm and your house. Is this is this what you're saying? You have all of this happening all at once? That's a lot. And you're trying
Okay,
to still help with UBI.
okay, thank you. The little money I have received from my friend well with us and some other friend. Right now, we in Kenya no education right now because COVID-19. People are not going to school. But the little money I have must take care of my family and my mom. I have received the little money from Fanny and Fanny told me that the little money, that money I should use it in food. But I have come out with idea to help my people also to get some little food, basics need like tea leaves, unga, then the little budget I do to them, I also do to me and my mom. Right now, I did not have even single sling, even single dollar in my pocket. But the grace of the God have take care of me and my mom also.
So, what is the platform for people to send money? How do people send money to you guys?
Okay. We can use with M-Pesa or bank account or Western Union. But the best in Kenya, it is Western Union is the best.
Do you guys use cryptocurrency at all? Because I heard that's a good way to transfer types of money.
Okay. In Kenya, we use with Kenya shillings money, not dollar.
Okay, yes. And what is the exchange rate?
Well, that's not the issue. What he's saying is he can't exchange silence for cryptocurrencies. There's no platform or business that can properly facilitate that currency exchange.
I see. So it has been difficult to actually move money to Kenya to actually help him. We had a fellow Yang Gang member who was helping Vincent do a GoFundMe, but due to the recent allegations that that Vincent has received all this extra money that he hasn't, she's been deterred from making a new one. So it seems that there's misunderstandings going on, and we're a little concerned about how he's going to continue trying to improve his situation right now.
Everyone seems so afraid about how their money is being spent that they don't trust enough, in my opinion. Like, it just seems, because as he said, there was propaganda that there was more, like, it could just take one person to say something bad, right? And then it ruins it for everybody else.
Right. And actually, this is maybe not, the podcast is a difficult place to actually, like share some of the information, because people trust you more when they can see photos of what's really happening. And Vincent is currently has sent me many of them in my own, in our own communications, but I'm unable to show them for on a sound audio podcast.
So I'm actually wondering, like, how does the Kenyan economy work? Is it like high school, university, degree, just like that, and then it's like you find a work, like what kind of jobs?
Oh, that's
are
incredibly
available?
rosy. Even the Wikipedia article mentions that agriculture is the major economy of Kisumu.
So it's mostly agriculture. So most people there are like farmers.
Yes.
How can people connect with you, Vincent, if they want to find you and hear more about what you're working with there? Can they find you
Okay.
maybe on Facebook or maybe on Twitter? What do you use to communicate with people?
Okay. What I almost usually friendly, it is Facebook.
Okay, so Facebook is working well for you, and the last fundraiser that was created on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay, but it required somebody from the United States having to send the money over after the fundraiser was done. So there's no way to create one for yourself from Kenya?
Okay. If you willing or you want to send money to me to Kenya, I will send for you some details to you. Then after that, you will use that details to send for me that money. Then you will send for me some key code. that I will use to withdraw that money from Western Union.
Okay, so basically Western Union is the only reliable way that we know of right now to get money over there.
Yes, it is available everywhere.
Okay, I wonder if anybody else can see the the screen share that I'm trying to put on.
It's
Can you
very
guys see it?
small.
Yeah, it's very small.
It's very small. I wonder if I'm sharing the right one.
No, I think like because it shows the video, but there's so much black space around it. It's like yeah.
How about this? Is this
Yeah.
working?
Yeah.
Did I get it working? Okay, I'm going to try. Let's see if we can hear the sound. I don't know if we can hear it, but
Large sections of Lake Baringo Secondary School,
Yeah.
which serves more than 300 students, has been massively destroyed after Lake Baringo, which is just a kilometer away, broke its banks. The heavy downpours experienced in the region have left many parts of the institution flooded. 4 classrooms, laboratories, the just completed biodigester, a kitchen and toilets all completely flooded.
Hii maji ilianza tu wakati mvua ilianyesha, ilianza kuja tu polepole na ilipitia pande ya Marine pande, alafu ikakuja teremka namna hii.
This problem started immediately after the government suspended the education due to COVID-19.
For the school watchman, Sila Kimaiwa, the floods pose a great danger. Every evening he has to make his way to the school, dangerously navigating the waters using this modified boat.
Iko mamba, iko kibogo, hiyo ndio na saa ya kuchelewa. Ukichelewa tu kidogo ikuwe giza, huwezi tembea naye tena, na makibogo inatembea hapa usiku.
The surging waters at Lake Baringo and Lake Bogoria have caused panic among parents who are worried about where to take their children when learning resumes. Thousands of learners attending the affected schools, which include Lake Baringo Secondary, Salabani Secondary School, Ngambo Girls Secondary, Lake Bogoria Girls High School, Ngambo Primary, Sintan, Loropil, Nosukro, Kiserian, Sokote, and Salabani Primary, risk being relocated when schools reopen.
This is a big loss and request government to very, very urgently swing to action so that we have our school relocated, built, ready for reopening of schools.
More than 10,000 people living near the lakes have also been displaced after their homes were flooded.
all right. So this is what's happening in your area right now, right?
Yes.
That's a lot of water. Like, has this happened before like this or anything similar?
Okay. During the rainy season, every year it is flood in Kenya during rainy season because when the rain is too much, then the rivers and lake burn Then when it is burned, then the water come out. Cannot get on its source to the lake or another river. It is come out to the where people have settled, even in the school where the slope land can flow water very fast because the upper hill cannot water go up.
So when I search for the floods in Kisumu, I find that there was one in December of 2019 and then another one much in April, end of April. And so the one that that you basically that put you homeless was the one in April that just happened, right?
Yes.
So your goal is to rebuild and maybe make you want to rebuild a family home for yourself and your family?
Okay, I am really pray that even I can get a single house, I can stay with my family, even with the children. I take care of them of a total of funds. I will appreciate the God and those my friend or well wishers do that to me.
So that would, that the one home that if you're able to rebuild one would be able to help yourself and several other people.
Okay, if I get or if I build my home now, I can take another people who have still have no option to build their home to come and stay with me in my house to take care of them and give them food and clothes also.
So it would be for, you want to make space in this home to provide enough space for another family to stay temporarily while they're rebuilding.
Yes.
And that way kind of help additional people get back on their feet. To do one family at a time in that way.
Okay. Uh, if I get a single house, I can contain even 10 people in this house on that house to give them shelter. Then when the God come now and bring with another and when the God bring another option to build for another person, I will do that. Because it is very really sad to me when the people or some people are asleep under the tree over the night. Right now it is too much rain here, and some homes are really destroyed by the flood. He also can't get into that house. Like me, I am staying in town because my home was really destroyed by the flood, and my mom's house also.
And I heard that in the area, there was a strike from the doctors. The doctors were on strike.
Okay, thank you. Right now, doctors are on the strike because the governor Peter Nyang'nyongo cannot afford to pay the doctors. The management of Peter Nyang'nyongo, or the governor of Kisumu County, he cannot manage Kisumu County very well. He is very corrupt governor. It is also eat a lot of money of COVID-19 that the national government give out to give the vulnerable people. He also eat that money. It is very painful when the governor cannot take care of his workers. Even last week, I have met the old woman lay near the road. No treatment or in the hospital. No medicine. Even I give that old woman and take care of him to hospital and take him to hospital because it is painful for me when somebody it is older than me lay down because the doctors on strike. I use with the little money I have on my pocket on that day to take him in private hospital.
So it sounds like you also, so the corruption there, they're not getting the money to the people, is what you're saying.
Yes, through the government or through governor. Corruption, it is too high.
So that's why the people are actually more trustworthy than trying to work through some of the bigger organizations or through the government.
Yes, that is why people come out with organization to help people. But right now in Kisumu, there are few organizations come out to help people. Like Red Cross come out to help people to give people some medicine, even some mattress and mosquito nets also. Or it is that idea. That idea is good, but they give people only once. But next month, no, they cannot come out again.
So,
So-
okay, what you had mentioned
That-
before was that even the doctors were on strike, but I believe that the strike has been called off at this point, right?
that
Okay, right now, the doctors are still on strike. Even Nairobi's doctors of Nairobi hospitals, they are on strike. The doctors of Kisumu County, they are on strike. The doctors of Homa Bay County, they are also on strike because the governors cannot pay them. The doctors, even the workers of county, even of the country, even the people who swept the town, they cannot get their money because the governors are too corrupt.
So even though I see some articles saying that the government ordered them back to work, but they are still on strike despite these orders. That's
This
terrible.
seems like more propaganda, right?
yeah. Well, actually, he brought up a very good point, Vincent. He said they only give us for like it's a one-time thing, but then we need something for next month and for next month. Kind of like here in the United States, the government gave us one check of $1,200 in the beginning
Yes,
of COVID-19. You heard that?
yes,
Yeah, but it wasn't recurring. So
yes.
the
Not only
only
was it not recurring, still most Americans who were owed it have not gotten it.
Oh.
Yeah. So our government's pretty corrupt too. Yeah. So it's pretty gross. People need to like be trusted more than some kind of leadership, because the leadership, they always have their own personal interests, but they act as kind of like the conduit to like get things to people. But instead, if people just get something direct every month, people know their own needs. And the only reason that people don't trust giving it direct to people instead of to governments and organizations is because they say individual people can't be trusted. But the truth is, the government and the organizations, they're the ones who can't be trusted, but individual people usually know what's good for them. And I doubt that people in Kenya are known for like taking drugs and drinking and going out and partying and all of that stuff, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
Vincent has made a very good accounting of what was done with the money that was donated before, and I'd be happy to share that with you on the chat. I don't know how to share that in
Right.
general.
So I'm saying that all the propaganda people who say that people who just get the money, they just spend it for fun and they don't take care of their lives, we have evidence that shows that that's not the case. So no one can make up their own facts. Everyone can have their own opinion. But like Vincent, like Republicans in our country, not even Republicans, just like even some Democrats, people who are against UBI, they say, oh, you just give them this money and they just spend it on things that they don't need or like on a vice. But the evidence shows that that's not true. And the evidence is showing that all over the world.
Well, and also the interesting thing is, $1,200 must sound like an enormous amount of money to Vincent. Three of those together would actually pay for an entire home for him. That home that he's talking about that would have that he could have, 10 people stay in. A 10-person home for him only costs $3,000 American, and so
That's not bad. Yeah. And you know what even the bigger thing is? The bigger thing is that if we had UBI in America, most people would have more disposable income to help people like Vincent and to help people in Kenya. But the thing is that we do like instead of that, this money goes to these shady organizations. So basically, here's what they say what welfare is. Welfare is basically taking the money from poor people in rich countries to give to rich people in poor countries.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, isn't it? But only the wealthy are ever deemed worthy of respect and trust.
Right.
And so when a poor person asks for something, we first disrespect them by not
that's
leaving.
ridiculous, right? Because it's usually it's a lot of wealthy people that spend their money on vices. Most of the time, like for instance, Vincent, those governors that you're saying they're corrupt, are they rich or like what?
Yes, the governor and government are too corrupt here. But according to what I have done with the little money I received from Feni and well-wishers, I have done a lot good report to Feni and the team of Andrew Young. Faye can reprove that I have done a good report to them how I have used with $500 and how some recommendation that should be add in also. I have done that very clearly.
So I have a
only,
question.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to these houses, when the floods recede, I'm assuming there's going to be damage that has to be repaired, or does it just become inoperable or unusable? And then my follow-up question is, what if you deconstructed ruined houses and worked with your community to rebuild something that isn't damaged just in this particular time of need? Is that possible, or is that too much?
Okay. When you some house can be repaired, yes, some are not conditioned to be repaired. Some are need to be rebuilt again. But when you build a good house with the bricks, they can be fine with this flood in Kenya. The flood cannot destroy them, but it is, or you can raise the house up even 20 feet from the ground and up. After doing that, I think that that house will be a good condition to live in even during the flood.
So basically you want to rebuild, but build it higher so that if there is floodwater, it won't immediately come into the home. That the flood would have to go to a higher level in order to come in.
Yes.
They have stuff like that in New Orleans because of the floods over there, or the rising water. You can see houses on stilts in over there. I find that interesting because like they're trying to protect it, but it sounds like that's what you guys are doing or need to do there.
But wait, but let me just ask Vincent, like these corrupt governors you're talking about, are they getting, money from like the UN or something, or I don't know, to like give to the people, and then they just get the money and they keep it, or they use it for something else and it doesn't go to the people, or that.
Okay. When I during that flood affected us, I have seen the way the governors and government to feed us. Then I come with a good idea. How can I help my people? Because it is painful when you saw some a certain person on the flood or somewhere cannot even get a single food in a day or in a night. It is very painful. It is you, and you come up with an idea how to help them. That is, I come with a idea of fundraising through Facebook. Then Fanny did it very well to me and feed them. My plan, when the God, I am still praying that when the God can open for me the dogs, I can help my people. Even I can build them. The people who have no homes to have the homes. I have a good art of helping people, but in my hand I did not have even single Kenyan shillings money, even dollar in my hand. But I'm praying every day to God to open for me the door. How can I help my people? Because it is very, very painful to me. The governor are too corrupt. The little money can reach to people. The governor take that money to into his pocket or into our pocket in our pocket. It is very painful to me.
I
It's
see.
affecting
So
you right now that this corruption is happening.
right,
But
and I just
go
want to
ahead,
know
Ariel.
how do these governors live, like lavishly, or they have like big houses and stuff, or like what's the deal there? It's is it because maybe if like the governors don't make really much money anyway, they want to be greedy and they want to keep it, or they just say, oh, good for me, I just want to be rich? Like what do you think is going on there?
Okay, what is going on here? During COVID-19, the national governor come out with some idea to give people who is very poor people to have received even 1,000. That is around 1,000. That is around $1 of America. The national government come that with idea to give the governor that money to give the poor people every monthly, but that cannot even happen in Kisumu County. The governor eat a lot of money and take the little of money to give poor people 1 month. So, but the national government said that COVID money, the poor people will receive it every monthly.
So they lied.
So if you're receiving 1,000 Kenyan, I see that the exchange rate is about 108.15 Kenyan shillings right now to $1. So that would be approximately $10 in the United States. So the governor was suggesting that he give everybody, all the poor people, just the very poorest, $10.
Oh wow.
Whereas we have received 1,200 for our during our pandemic for people who are
Right,
out of work.
but I'm pretty sure that like food prices in Kenya are like, I don't know, like what, like 50 cents an American to buy maybe like a sandwich or something. I mean, like what, how much does it take to like buy certain things from the store? I don't know, potatoes, rice, things like that.
Vincent, how much does it cost you for a meal with,
Okay, for
a well-rounded
example,
meal?
uh,
Or maybe
one
at a McDonald's, how much is your burger, for example, at a McDonald's?
Right.
Okay, for example, one bag of rice, it is around 3,000 Kenya shillings money. And one sugar, it is around 110 Kenya shillings money. Fat oil, 10 liters, it is around 1,270 Kenya shillings money. Then bread, 500 gram, it is 50 shillings, Kenya shillings money.
You want exchanging rate?
So in the chat it says 1 to 100 essentially. So just get rid of some zeros, and that's essentially the amount. So the amount they would have given out wouldn't have hardly covered even food, right?
Well, I
Right.
think it probably would have. So I'm reading that if you go to a McDonald's, for example, and you get a meal in Nairobi, Kenya, it would be about 50 Kenyan shillings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the 1,000 Kenyan shillings would cover a few meals.
Yes.
Maybe 20.
1,000 roughly, even you can took it on breakfast. That is only breakfast in Kenya. That is only breakfast.
Just 1,000 Kenyan shillings is just breakfast. Will only
Yes.
cover one breakfast.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That just, it blows my mind that this corruption is in so many countries, and that it's gone unchecked for so long. It's so disheartening. It breaks my heart that, like, even now during a pandemic, and for you a flood, they're still doubling down on it's like a scarcity mindset has extra hit them, and they're just holding on tighter to the money when it should be used as freely as possible right now. And it just, I'm so sorry this is happening.
If the people in the United States, like the private citizens, like had, you know, money to spare, like this could really, they could really find a way to help. But the thing is, like, even here, when you adjust to the cost of living, a lot of people in the US after this have lost their businesses, have lost that. So even they're kind of like getting by with scraps. So it kind of like lowered, you know, the whole world's purchasing power, basically. And like all the purchasing power is just seeming to get funneled to the top of this system that we have. So that's the kind of thing that UBI would counterbalance. But the thing is, the first priority on everybody's list has to be like to see who is representing them. What are the laws being made, like, in your country, and, you know, for the people, and like who's making them. And if they don't represent, you know, what you want to see, then people have to come together and, you know, make something new. I mean, I don't know how, you know, if there's a democratic process that works in Kenya, or you vote for these governors, or, you know, they're the children of the governor who was there before, and then they become the governor. So I don't know how the political process works.
Ariel, after we received the stimulus here, I had several friends tell me, because they're doing well in their life right now, and nothing much has changed for them since the beginning of the pandemic. You know, if they're still going to work, but they're working from home, or, you know, there's not as much, you know, upheaval for them. They're saying to me that they feel guilty for receiving that money because they don't need it. And at the same, and so I feel like if we just have 3 of these people show up with their check and say, you know, we didn't feel like we really need this, but we'd like to offer it to somebody who really does. That would meet Vincent's need for a home, which is really, it's a pretty big thing that you can do with that check. And yeah, yet at the same time, because the United States is also in that middle of the pandemic, we are in a time when people are fearful. We don't know what's going to happen next, because we don't have that recurrent stimulus. So then you think, well, maybe I don't need it now. Maybe I'll need it next month. You know, you don't know quite what to do. And there's all sorts of disasters happening right now in the United States. And so it's very difficult for people to think a little farther and think about people far away from us sometimes.
Here's the bottom line, okay? Like, people need to know that there's like some kind of source of like stability, and not everything is going to fall apart. So even with me, that when I got the extended unemployment benefits and like I felt great and it was really, really nice. I mean, once that just stops cold turkey, it's like, okay, like I don't know if maybe I'll find a job in a year, 2 years, 3 years. So if you know that something has an expiration date or it's not going to be recurring, that's when you go into that mindset. Even if you have like a ton of money, but then the source just completely stops, and then you don't know where another source is going to be coming from. That's a very terrible place that you're putting people in.
Well,
You
and
know.
we also do have flooding and hurricanes here happening right this minute with Hurricane Laura.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so there's a lot of people concerned about, do we need to help family who's here in the United States? There are
Right.
people who are, concerned about the various disasters that are
I mean,
happening in the United States also.
I
So
mean,
it's been difficult. Mhm.
so Faith, for those people who felt guilty, like why didn't you tell them that, like, okay, give it to charity, give it to someone else, like
Well, you know me, of course I did.
right,
Of
no,
course,
no,
that's
so
what I
so
said.
so so what okay then, so what did they come back with?
Well, I mean, I think that people feel like it's not their job to figure out who is supposed to get the money, but they feel all they know is that I wasn't supposed to get this money because I don't need it.
Okay,
That's as
okay,
far
so
as they've
then,
thought. And so it
so
really takes
so
time for them to process. What
so
would I do
yeah.
if I have this extra money? And if I really feel like I don't need it, can I be more generous? Or what
Right.
can I do with it that
Yeah.
would
I
actually
mean,
be of
it's
benefit?
not rocket science that Jeff Bezos could just end world hunger if he felt like it. He could, like, on a whim, for God's sake. I mean, like it's like we just have people in this world who like, it's not about human life or dignity or decency. It's just about their ego. Whatever strokes their ego and makes them feel good. I mean, if you guys saw like Donald Trump, just yesterday, he had that fireworks display, like tons and tons of fireworks. First of all, I'm pretty sure that's terrible for the environment, but who cares? And also, and then he had like an opera. Like, how much did all of those like fireworks cost? And that opera, maybe like upwards of like what, like $500,000? I don't know.
Not just cost, but cost the taxpayer, I'm sure.
Right. Cost to us, like, instead of money for those fireworks, like we could help like Vincent's village, like
So,
seriously.
like, in a way, it is a mental health issue for hoarding. Okay, it makes them feel safer, uh, and it's almost like reverse psychology that has to be used on stuff like this. But I mean, that's not the only thing that's at play, though. There are. Uh, there's a lot of issues, but I was going to try and make a point and then I forgot it. So I don't know. But like, the thing is, these people don't comprehend the effect of money. To them, it's more like a game that they're winning, like, oh, I have the most money. And, Trump talks about getting people jobs. Well, in his mind, that means, oh, you can do the song and dance and I'll give you money. And then, look, you have money now, but it's only if you do what he wants, right? It's not if it's like, helping people with their houses or their rent or any of that. It doesn't translate to needs. It's more of this, like, because they're not in survival mode, they're in, oh, I better appeal to all these other individuals that I'm entertaining. It's a party for them, right? I wish they would just open up their homes or the hotels they've purchased.
Like,
Why don't you just do that?
yeah, like, it's like coming from like my mother's side of the family, that's like relatively in like wealthy conditions, like that's what it's all about, like honor and respect and like entertaining and saving face. And it's so fucking superficial, and it kind of like, it's obnoxious at a point. It's like, why not just like solve the damn problems and not have all this like honor and saving face and like, oh, look at this big, party I threw with all these cakes and stuff like that. And now let's turn up the music until everybody's eardrums pop
But
out and like jump
it's
around.
it's also impossible to get a conversation with these people, right? Like they're untouchable and they should be the most like easy access person. If I had a personal phone call with some of these people, I think I could convince some people to give up some money. Okay. I think I have that ability, but do I have the opportunity to sit down with this person? No, because I'm a nobody, right? Like, I've got great stories that would help influence change, but I can't talk to the right people because they've just shut themselves off from reality. Uh, you know, uh, and that's part of the problem. And they're not watching this. They're too busy, right? They don't have the time to sit through and like sift through all the complaints that are coming in, right? They're just like, oh, well, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I did the thing that made me feel good about myself. But the reality is they're not meeting with real people.
Then you know who I also blame? Like our academic institutions too, for not like putting a highlight on this, because like it's sometimes like universities and colleges, like it's all about like honor and respect and this, but it's like, hey, like why aren't we learning about like better ways of like, that like having people not in scarcity mode? You think like the number one kind of like priority for humanity would be like eliminating scarcity and having people struggling to survive? Because like we have like drones and robots and like if we want to go to that like Star Trek future, it's about abundance. And you would think that abundance would be the number one priority of just like the most intelligent people or our leaders. But the celebrity culture around the world has shifted our priorities from like abundance and Star Trek to like crap. I'm sorry, but like the like Kardashian stuff and like entertaining people and putting on a show and like getting your ego stroked.
There's so much that's changed though. You have to realize that internet is still new and the human mind is evolving because of technology. You cannot disregard the fact that the internet is new. And now we have this overabundance of information that has been given to us that we're sorting through. So, this generation that's learning all this, like, prior to the internet, I'm sorry, our brains got wired a certain way where we didn't think about this, right? And now it's coming to light because we have communication with people all over the world, and so it is up to us to teach the next generation these things. But right now we have to evolve the systems that already exist. But since we are in scarcity mindset and so busy trying to just make ends meet, we haven't evolved anything, right? And so like it's almost you have to do it while struggling, and that's not cool either. But
yeah, but when people are struggling and they're trying to do these amazing things like startup UBI for everybody, so that everybody can get their money, everybody can be helped, rising tide style. While you're living in poverty and trying to do all of these things, people will not give you that trust because you don't show up with the right, you're a little too hungry for that money, and so you seem like there's something wrong with you, or you're, not of the right color, or you're not in the right from the right, like there's so many different things. Maybe you don't have enough teeth, and somehow that's making you unreliable to somebody who's trying to vet you. And that's really what's going on. Is a lot of the people that I work with,
we lost Vincent, by the way.
Right. So Vincent may or may not be back later because he probably ran out of battery on his phone and has to find a place to plug in. Here we go.
Oh.
Hi, Vincent. And also, hi, Shale. It's nice of you to join us. We really appreciate seeing you.
Oh, hi. Yeah, guys. I didn't check the correct chat, so I did not know we had a guest or a Zoom meeting today, but it's good to be here. I'm very happy the show went off without me. That's just the best feeling. So you're all doing great. Back to you.
So nice to see you back, Vincent. But I was saying that some of the problems that people, encounter is that we are easily canceled. As poor
Yeah.
people, anything you do can be counted as well. Some of the complaints I've heard about Vincent specifically, okay, is that Vincent is very he will show up to your posts on Facebook and he will like all of your posts and he will read the things that you're posting. And I'm like, well, let's see, how is that a really problem? Like,
Right.
why is that scary to you that he likes your posts and he reads your posts and he shows up? I mean, like, what, shouldn't you trust somebody who shows up when you ask them questions about what have you been doing? If you say, Vincent, show me what you've been doing with that money, he will
What the
he will go
hell?
around the
Like,
town and take photos of everybody
like,
and let you know.
like taking responsibility is a bad thing. Like what world are these people living in?
Well, it's not only the responsibility of it, but because Vincent is hungry for this money and really needs it, he is out every day pounding the pavement, the way, as so to speak. And if
Right.
that's just being on Facebook all day trying to get more attention for this, but sometimes it can be it somehow violates our middle class morals, right? We have this sort
What the
of
hell?
yeah.
That's pretty dumb. Like that's I don't understand how like the more of an activist you are, the more people just say like, oh come on, don't rock the boat, get in line and like be boring like all of us.
Well, there's a very fine line. Like there's a line that nobody knows specifically where it is unless you live the middle class life in the United States, and you know exactly where that line is, where you can talk to people a certain number of times, and then after that certain number of times, somehow it's you've crossed that line.
God,
but
for
it's
me,
invisible.
like
You don't know where it is.
I've lived the middle class life in like a big house, and it's so overrated. I mean, like basically, it's like a washing machine spin cycle. It's like the same people, the same jobs, the same things that you see. There's nothing that's really unique in a way
So
that
how would have we woken you up to do something meaningful if it was so
I think people want to be like entertained, so or people like getting like their ego stroked. So it's like if you can get these middle class people and like find a way to make the activism entertaining and kind of like stroking their ego, or people like what's reputation. And I know it's so pathetic, but like for instance, in like my affluent part of the family, it's all about like, oh, and you did this and you did that, and like, oh, that's kind of cool, and like, oh, we're proud of you, oh, this. So if you say like, oh, you help a person like this, and then everyone's gonna know like, wow, like look at this guy, then I think that kind of like wakes them up from their stupor.
There's that whole reliability question too. When you're poor, you become less and less reliable because your phone may be running out of batteries and you can't get a new phone that can last long enough to go through an entire stream, or you may not be able to show up on time because your car is not running. And that's happening to you on a much more frequent basis than to other people who can actually afford a new car. And just all sorts of things are happening to you, and you have to prove yourself extra hard in order to get any sort of respect.
Right. It's kind of like you're like juggling all this stuff in your head, and like for people who have their needs met and then some, they're not juggling anything in their head. So it's kind of like, hey, like come and fix my leaky roof, and then it's like, okay, this guy has to do while they're juggling, and this guy can just do it and just think about the task at hand. Exactly. It's like when you're poor, it's like you're not just thinking about the task at hand. there are like 20 other things that are happening in the back of your head that are like different from the task at hand, that take away your ability to focus on the task at hand. That's why I hated when when my parents were getting a divorce, and then like I had all these dumb school administrators tell me that like what goes on at home, it's like you just leave that at the door and you just focus on your schoolwork. It's like, are you people like stupid? That's not the way
Well,
things work.
they don't understand how much mental bandwidth it takes to do anything that's stressful, right? And you
Yeah.
know, money is a tool to help relieve some of that stress and that
Mm-hmm.
mental bandwidth. But you know, it's very complicated, right?
Right.
For us to even break past that. So personally, okay, so I mean, you guys know I live in a tent half the time at this point. Right now, I'm not in a tent, but like it wasn't until I stopped having to pay rent that I got any mental bandwidth back, because I didn't have to worry about where the money was coming from, you know, at least as much. And you know, I actually enjoy the walks that I have to do now. Like it improves my health even, you know. But it's
So
just like,
Vincent probably doesn't know that about you, Faye,
oh
because Vincent
yeah.
is meeting you for the first time. Tell him a
Uh,
little bit about your choice of lifestyle right now.
Okay, yes. So I am fully nomadic, which means I just travel all the time. I don't have a house. So I'm able to go where the weather is better. You know, if I don't want to be around a fire, I could just leave, right? That makes sense. And or, you know, any other extreme weather. But you know, I live off of what I call social currency, is I do good deeds and I put out requests when I need the money, and generally I get it back because I've got a big enough social network. And I, you know, people trust me enough that like I do what I say, you know. And I don't live above my means essentially. And you know, I just do as much as I can when I can, and things work out for me. You know, I'm able to stay with friends, but a lot of it is just literally asking for what I need. Like
So
literally, that's
Faye,
what it boils down to.
one of the questions I have about that is whether you think that would work for somebody who was a person of color and who was Black and who lives in a, you know, and sometimes I wonder if you know, the fact that you're female also, it's okay for women to ask for money sometimes, whereas it might be difficult for a man to make that same ask. So I'm wondering if those might be barriers for other people.
Of course. I recognize I have you know, I have a bubbly personality, and not a lot of people have a bubbly personality. You know, I'm female, that helps. You know, and I recognize I have a few extra things that work well in my favor. You know, but if you have friends and family that aren't struggling, you know, it's possible that, you know, the friendly you know, help is there, but some people can't live with you. Maybe you get under someone else's nerves, or you know, on their nerves, you know.
Right. Yeah.
uh,
And like the fact that you're younger, I mean, you're kind of the ideal person to choose this life and be able to do it well and pull it off with panache. For someone who is much older, or someone who has a child that they have to care for, they might be, for example, if I were doing that, there would probably be a lot of backlash from people saying that I was abusing my child by not putting them in school or something. Even though if I'm in a house, I'm not putting them in school, I'm homeschooling, then all of a sudden I'm okay again. I'm respectable again because at least I'm in a house. So there's a lot of things that people look at you and make all these snap judgments about people.
there are definitely, I still get shamed for some of the choices I make. You know, uh what, you're not working? I work all the time, I'm just not getting paid, right? Like, and so somehow that gives people the right to judge me because I'm not working for somebody and getting their validation through money that they think I earn, right? Like that's what it boils down to. Oh, um you're you're not worthy of my respect because you're not working for somebody else. And uh whatever, it's fine. People are gonna believe and behave however they want, right? So You just have to get over it. But the other thing is, I am currently trying to figure out how to make money while I'm also doing this, so that I can teach how to do it, right? If I can do it, I can teach it. And that's always been the mantra. And people, they love information. They just eat it up, right? You can have a really strong bond with somebody by simply teaching them something new, but you also have to be vulnerable, right? Belonging cues is something I heard recently. You just got to feel like you're welcome and all this other stuff. But it's like, if I was trying to put myself in Vincent's shoes. If I was in Kenya, like, how would I pull this off? I would see if anybody had spare parts of their house that they could just help tear down and put together with somebody else, and just like use the community to rebuild with what I have, right? I have to use stuff that I get real cheap or I find, because I pick up garbage all the time, right? You can use that too. And I've seen people do this, but see, we don't have a lot of rain here. I moved to somewhere where there wasn't a lot of rain because that's what I needed, right? And I also, I get food stamps, right? So like my food is taken care of, but
yeah. What are the like when you have to go to school and the teacher tells you leave everything at home, but do you leave your growling stomach if you are hungry? How can you think if you have not eaten? And how can you pay attention? It's just ridiculous. That's why we have in the United States, Vincent, we have a lot of food programs for children, because the teachers realize they're not teaching anything when the children show up and they have not eaten breakfast. So we have a breakfast program, we have a lunch program for very low income children. And I think in our town, a surprising number of people are relying on that. And we're in a small town. And so when the schools closed down during the pandemic, that was one of the biggest issues, was how are children going to get all of the food that they used to rely on the school for? And so the school continued making breakfast and lunch, and you could come to school and get it, or the I think the bus driver actually would come to your house and collect you if you needed it. But I don't know if that really happened. So it's continuing to be an issue in the United States too.
I can tell you from my personal experience. So since I'm doing this nomadic life during the pandemic, I see what kind of resources exist. So there were schools that that were closed down, and they were giving out sacked lunches between like 10 and noon, right? And so they were giving out food lunches daily. They didn't even ask they didn't need proof, right? Like, how many bags? I need 10. Okay, right? So they did that. As far as like churches were giving out bags of food. I've gotten food from schools and churches and food stamps. And people just, like buying me food occasionally, that's helped out. And because I live very minimally off of money, like I try to see what it's like for other people so that I can report how to fix it or what other people do to inspire, but like even when I was in school younger, like my family's always been poor. I would mooch food off of other people. I'd be like, hey, are you done with that? Right. And so that's I guess I've been doing this for a long time, right? But it's just and I did qualify for those kind of programs, but when I got in high school, for some reason I didn't get food, and it was like, oh, and then my friends kind of got used to just me like, hey, but again, it boils down to, are you asking for help? And like, why are you asking? Is the why is important to people, and it's
so yeah, I think that's great. And at the same time, it is important to be transparent and to give as much information as you feel comfortable with. But at the same time, we're experiencing an issue where the people who give then want to take too much control over what you're doing, or they want to know too much. They want to have too much input. And it's like, well, even if you give a large amount of a large sum, let's say that's like $1,000 or $2,000. that doesn't buy a person's life. It doesn't buy your right to know everything about them. You know, like you don't get all of their stories from the time they were born. You don't get to see all of their financial records. These are not things that employers get to see about their employees. And it's unfortunate that some people who donate, you know, then believe that they have, you know, the right to own things about you that they really don't.
Oh,
And so I
and
think it gets a little crazy. You know?
I'd like to add something here. It's not charity when you lead people astray and you're compensating them for the BS that you yourself put them through. And this applies to my generation and what happened in '08. It's like everybody said like, oh, like you that's because you got a degree in like English literature or sociology, and that's why you can't get work. You know what? Our parents and our grandparents got work with just a diploma. Good work that they could buy a house and they can raise a family. So don't you dare tell me in my generation who went the extra mile and got a degree and went through debt that like, oh, you know, like we'll give you something, but like shame on you for not being in the position. You let those people astray. You lead these people astray. It's on you, and like it's not. It's compensation at that point, and not charity. I just want to say
that leads us to the question of reparations in the United States for you know, our all complicit, you know, participation in slavery and the aftermath of slavery, of continuing to, you know, sort of deny the fact that so many people have a much different you know, outcome than the rest of us because of the color of their skin, just living in the United States. So I think in the Yang Gang, Andrew Yang was technically, you know, not against reparations, and I believe he was for reparations, but it wasn't one of his specific policies. He felt that, you know, as a person who was not affected specifically, you know, he didn't have as much say in it, and that he should allow other people to discuss that, which I think, you know, I think it's a good position to take, actually. I feel like if I were, you know, I don't have ancestors that were here during that time when we had slavery specifically, but as a member of our society, I would be happy to be, you know, to be seeing that reparations happen, and that, you know, even if if my taxes were to go towards it, it just feels like something that would help us recover a sense of you know, like equality that has been missing for so long. And it would really move our country forward.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, yeah, because like words are so powerful, and the kind of rhetorical games some of these leaders play to like make people think that they're non-deserving, or like, you know, the system is fair. You know, there has to be a counterbalance to that BS. And
There's just so much corruption. It's we need to change the incentives, and we need to change the foundation that we've like been working with.
Yeah.
We need to evolve.
I'd like to throw the question back to Vincent, who is our guest. What
Yes.
In our country, we're still dealing with the aftermath of our colonialist culture. Was Kenya ever affected by the same type of colonial history?
Yes. Yes. Here in Kenya, we have different parties. We have ODM party, we have Jubilee party, but right now Jubilee party, it is in the government, and the Jubilee party is the one who rule Kenya right now. It is not easy to us, our people on the grassroots, to receive even help from the national government, that is from the president, because when the president give out something to give people, they give to the governors, but then governors come out with idea to help their family, not another person but their family. That is why we have ODM and the Jubilee. Jubilee, the all governors in 47 counties are ODMs to Jubilees, so that the corruption is too higher. So that governors use their money from the money that received from national government to develop his home or his family. Even right now in the office of governor, the members of the in that office, the almost of them come from where where the governor come from. That is why even doctors, he cannot take care of the doctors because he have the money. He used to visiting the hospital outside the countries, the world. Last month he got to Sudan, Australia. He used that to on his health and his family. But another people who are very poor, who cannot afford to go for even hospital in America, also Sudan, because they are very poor. They cannot afford even a meal in a day. That is why we have the too corrupt in Kenya.
Do you think that the corruption is still tied to the colonial period? Which, when did that end for Kenya? Would that be only in the 1900s, I believe?
Yes.
I believe that only in the last century has Kenya really been its own country.
Yes, I'm really praying that when the God can protect me to come with a good, I will be a good leader to to my people. I will treat people the way I treat my family because those people vote to me to go to take care of them, not to eat their money, but to take care of them. I am really praying that God will come up with my dream to take me where the point I want. I want to be a good leader to the people of Kisumu County, to even my area also, to treat them the way I treat my family, the way I give my family food, the way I will give them food also.
I got a good heart. It's like I said, and probably that president who's giving money to the governors is probably getting that money from like international organizations, from maybe from tax dollars from countries like Europe and America. And that's what I said. Taking money from poor people in rich countries to give it to corrupt people in poor countries. Rich, it's BS. Like you know what? It's all about the middleman. The middleman is mismanaging things and funds like that, and that's the same problem, Vincent, that we have in the US. Like sometimes when people want to get money from these systems, they make it so complicated. They say sign this, provide this information here, provide this information there, because by the time they want to get through all the paperwork, things have already gotten so much more worse. So that's the idea of the UBI, that there's no time for paperwork when a person is homeless or starving. Just give it, see what happens. And you know what? If some of the money was mismanaged or something happened, take it out on the back end. Don't put in all this bullshit on the front end that takes so much time and then ruin everything. If there was a mismanagement of funds or money, take care of that after and say, oh, you got overpaid, you owe some back. But at least make sure people have enough to begin with, so they're not in dire straits.
But then you think about it, like They're like, oh, well, we're providing jobs to the people who are collecting the paperwork so that we can even pass out this money, right?
That's
and they're getting all
terrible.
the money instead of directly to the people who just
And
need
what
it,
are they
right?
producing? They're only producing headaches.
Wasted time.
They're wasting time. We're paying people to produce headaches and waste other people's time. Think about how egregiously just stupid and unnecessary that is. Just how incredibly dumb and idiotic that is.
You do see the incentive baked into the system for the people who pass the laws that preserve the system, right, Ariel?
Right. Yeah, of course I can.
They get to count fewer people in the ranks of these programs so that they can tout themselves as being more successful, saying fewer people need to rely on these programs. When in fact, they're just making the programs less accessible.
Just like all the people who lost their jobs and are trapped in the unemployment bureaucracy web, they're not counted as unemployed, even though they are, which is a gigantic load of crap.
We've got to somehow address that perverse incentive,
Right.
Do you guys have unemployment in Kenya?
Okay, right now I am not employment because I have applied through the county, but the governor have not reproved my request because the almost people who employ in the county, they are most of them come where the governor come from. That is why I say that corruption it is too high. That is, I come with up of idea. How can I help my people with from my well wishers or my friends? That is why I come with a group. I'm coming up with a group called Andrew Young Kenya Group to get the money from well wishers to account to them. Then they will feed the people.
Okay, I don't know if it's a great idea to name it Andrew Yang, but I understand that you would like to, continue having a relationship with the Yang Gang, and you would be Yang Gang in Kenya in a sense, right? Yes.
Yes.
Because the reason is, I believe if you put his name on the group, it may mislead people to believe that he is personally involved in some way. So like our podcast, we also use Yang Gang Roundtable podcast, but ultimately we're not, sanctioned specifically by Andrew Yang, although he may know about our existence. So, you might want to, maybe use Yang Gang as an option.
Okay, thank you. I use Young and Kenya Group because I like the way Andrew Young do his work to people in America to feed people. I like that. I like that idea. Even I'm really praying that I will come one day to America to meet with Andrew Young to say ideas. How can I help my people also?
Yes. So I think on that ultimately you are baptized into Yang Gang because we all believe in those policies.
Look, like a good idea is a good idea no matter where you come from or your skin color. I mean, everybody in the world wants to have enough to eat and to, live and to be happy. I mean, this is not foreign. You go to Asia, Africa. I mean, even if you go to Antarctica and there's some Eskimo living there, whatever, like they want to have food, they want to have shelter. So it's obvious, but the problem comes with, like I said, these middlemen and these very, very troubling myths that people take as reality. Like give people the money and they don't appreciate it and they spend it on things that'll hurt them. That's the stupidest myth in the world, is that somehow, like, just giving people money, they're going to use it to hurt themselves.
Well, Vincent used the money that was given to him very well, because what I read here in his report is that there were approximately 15 households with 100 individuals that received some benefit from that $500. And Vincent, what are the types of things that you bought for them?
Okay, I bought those people. Some I bought them onga, tea leaves, sukari. Some I give them maize, sabun, salt, and other things. The little
So
can
soap
use like
is a sabon is
soap.
soap, and maize is
Sabun.
like cornmeal.
Yeah,
We have to
they can.
translate British English to American English sometimes. Okay, there's sugar, salt, and tea leaves, and these are sort of considered basic essentials for people in your area because
actually,
not enough was funded to build an actual home, so it was focused on giving basic needs. Now, you had also mentioned something called for women to be able to go back to school during their periods, they may need some support. And you were talking about getting
Yes.
sanitary napkins for women.
Yes, right now they are really suffering here because some old men come out to cheat them, to sleep with them, give them 50 shillings to buy the sanitary towels. That is not good to me. It is very bad to me when I see a young girl pregnant and it is also it is in standard 8 or form 3. It is not good to me. Sometimes I kneel down to pray that God open for me the way I can help the people, even the young girls, young women. Some young women cannot sleep in our house because his his father or husband have died a long time. He is only stay in the home only. He is only stay his home, but during at night time he come out to sleep in bars, lodgings to with some governors or those people have their money to give them to buy sanitary. It is not good to me, really.
So there are sexual predators and other people who are taking advantage of this situation, and the young women or men who are in dire straits have to hustle for their money by maybe
that's
offering up their
terrible.
own bodies.
I just want to say sabun, soap. That's also soap in Persian. We also say sabun. That's I guess it's an international thing. That's very fascinating.
Yeah.
So I
Sabun.
want to actually talk about what just was brought up outside of the soap thing, but like, yeah, the predatory nature of people with money, with the people who don't have money. There's no consent, right? Like, I have to do something, and this is the only thing you're offering, and nobody else has this money, so I guess I'm going to do that kind of thing. I mean, I've seen that here in America, like a lot of places, and I've been targeted for stuff like that when I couldn't
Basically,
afford
just
things.
slavery, really.
Yeah, and it's just like you have to sell yourself in order to feed yourself, and that's with some jobs too. Maybe you're working a job you don't want to do for maybe a big corrupt corporation, and you're forced to do it because that's where your money comes from. And
then
it's
to
not.
think that the shame attaches to the person who is needy rather than to the person who is exploiting people is how the victims
Right.
are the ones
Yeah.
that continue to be victimized afterwards. So yeah, it's absolutely horrible to think that for trying to improve yourself, you have to put yourself in these situations, and that's what we call bootstrapping.
Right. Well, that's what we call, like, I don't know, fascism, or like a dictatorship. I mean, if you have to do things that you hate and are against your values and your morality just to survive, that you might as well be living in like North Korea or Nazi Germany. And we have many North Koreas and many Nazi Germany dynamics, like in countries that are so-called like civilized and rich, but there could be a person living under a home where the parents or the family is like, they're fascists. They like make these like unreasonable demands, and do all sorts of abuse, and we justify abuse and unreasonable demands and disgusting behavior, and we say like, oh well, they provide the money. Well, I got news for you folks. Money is just a construct in like our heads. It only has, you know, the power and the means that we're willing to give it because everybody believes in it. But I think that's something that a UBI will help address so much, this enslavement to some just person who has all this money and wants you to be like a SEAL, you know, a trained SEAL, to just do what they want. It's like, that's not freedom. That is not freedom.
So we're coming up on our 2 hours together, and I wanted to ask Vincent one more question, which is, where are you sleeping at night now, since you are homeless? What's happening in terms of what's your daily routine now?
Okay, where I am sleeping now, I am rent in town. I am rent house.
Okay,
With
so
my
you've left the
family.
shelter that was like a school, and you are renting a house now.
Yes, because in school we are suffering some diseases like cholera, malarias, because mosquito in one room. The government put people, even 30 can sleep in one room, even 50 can sleep. People 50 people can sleep in one room. That is it is bring some diseases to some people. Even some children cannot have healthy life because they contain some diseases, cholera, malarias, and other diseases.
So COVID-19 is only a small part of the concern there. There's so many different communicable diseases that can be passed around in a group setting like that, and when everybody's crowded into a school to sleep because they have no homes.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad that right now you're able to at least find a place and rent a place for you and your family. And thank you very much for coming to join us today. Faye, did you get to ask any questions about Kenya, Kenya, UBI Kenya, or anything like that you still have? Do you still have any other questions you have?
Yeah, so actually I do have a little bit of questions. Like I guess part of me was assuming that that it had started the UBI because of some stuff I had I don't know, misread or something, but or the propaganda maybe, right? But so I'm trying to figure out what kind of things have been done and what you're trying to do, like what actionable steps are next for you guys in order to make that happen, or what kind of help do you need?
Well, before Vincent answers that completely, I just wanted to say that what we've heard about actual UBI style payments in Kenya are probably something that was done through Give Directly, which I recommend a lot of people to check out and see if you would like to donate to that. Give Directly has been giving away UBI in various villages. I don't know if it was it given in your village specifically, Vincent?
Okay, thank you. Give Direct and the UBI, Give Direct the first basic income come to Kenya. Then UBI Kenya come to Sado, you Give Direct. Then right now, Give Direct is not in Kisumu County, it is in Turkana County. It is went there because of UBI Kenya Sado and they bring propaganda in Kisumu County that indirect. Some people call them Illuminati. So I tell them that Give Direct, it is a good project. It is a good project to people, but the professor Isel Kodera come up with UBI Kenya again to help the Kisumu County because some our people in our areas where the governors come from, They tell people that Give Direct it is Illuminati, but it is not Illuminati. It is a good idea that people come up with to feed its people.
Okay, so Give Direct has moved on to giving in a different county right now, and so it's not active in your area. And what
Yes.
about UBI Kenya? Do you think this is a good organization that we should continue following and learning more about? What kind of support does it need?
Okay, UBI Kenya, it is a good idea, but it is have some mess up somewhere from directors. That is, you see that messages online. That's some people call Professor Conman. Some people call with dirty names because Professor, he is not maintained to communicate with his volunteers. Right now, we have done everything as a volunteers. The work we have done really and submit to him to give us way forward because our people are really suffering from flood and from COVID-19. They cannot get their meal every day. So the people come, even in a week, 50 people can come to me. How is UBI Kenya when we receive the money? Because people are very angry and professor are go and keep quiet. We are really suffering, face some difficulties in the ground as a volunteers. But I am really pray that UBI app is time. I think a app is time because professor is a politician. Maybe he come up with that idea to use as a tool to wait come 2022 so that people are really suffering on the ground. Some are not getting food even during flood. Some people call me, Vincent, how can professor can build for me house? My house was destroyed by flood. How can professor help me? Some I told them, professor, I call professor, but he is not giving me feedback right now. But
So
I
it
have
seems like
already.
the best way to stabilize UBI Kenya and also get people back to advocating for UBI is to take care of their immediate needs right now. They're unable to continue volunteering without substantial, actual, assistance right now because that has become much higher in priority, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's going to be difficult for UBI Kenya to stick together as a group if the disaster relief doesn't happen. Everybody's busy fending for themselves for a minute.
You know, it's crazy that like we don't fund the volunteers because they're the ones willing to do the work already with no money, and they could probably distribute the money more effectively than all these other things. It's just, it blows my mind. But like, I mean, even our group, we do a lot of volunteer work to coordinate and network, and we're barely making it too, right? To probably a little easier than Kenya, let's be honest, right? We have it a little better here, but it's just like our team could personally do a lot of good work if we weren't so worried. And to think about what you're going through, I mean, you have so many more barriers than we do here. And so the mental bandwidth we have is a lot more than you guys have, right? Yet I'm thinking, what if we combined, you know, all these different UBI groups from across the world that we've already talked to? Like we've talked to UK, we've talked to Canada, now we're talking to Kenya, and we're from the US. Like, obviously, there's a demand for this worldwide. we're not just some like little tiny group that's sitting in a corner. Hey, we should do this. Nah, it's a movement across the world, and we're not like. It makes me wonder if we combine forces, what that would look like and how that could have power and momentum. You know, but even that, I feel like we're silenced or we have all these barriers, but we have way more opportunities here in America to make this happen, and it's still not happening, and that's concerning, right?
Well, that's the Humanity Forward candidates where they come in. Richard Ojeda just yesterday had them all. I mean, like, we have representation that's absolute trash. If we can do something about that, this country will grow in ways that are amazing.
Yeah. Currently, we're a little disappointed because the two future leaders, the two major party leaders that are going up for the next election, neither of them are too inspiring to us, Vincent. We're really having a hard time. Like, these are the people we're choosing from. Okay.
I wish we used all that campaign money to just hand to the people. Like that would literally be part of the solution if we just took away campaign money and just gave it to the people. Like that would actually do more for us than this song and dance and fireworks that, you know, Trump puts on for his little thing. It's just a reality TV show to him. It's just, we need people that are living in this reality.
Well, Andrew Yang actually tried to do that, right? He says, let me take some of this money that we're raising and we'll create a UBI for people here to see what that means for them. And then it was all this, oh, he's paying people to vote for him. Like if you pay media to tell people to vote for you, then it's okay. But if you just give it to people to buy things,
it's just like the unemployment people, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna pay these people to do a job to not pay anybody else, right? It's just like it gets hung up with that middleman, and it's not going where it needs to go. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's upsetting.
All right. Well, we should probably close out. It's been a really, really wonderful conversation with everyone. Vincent, do you know, once again, do you want anybody to connect with you? Maybe just look for Vincent Kajomo on Facebook.
Yes. On Facebook, my name is Vincent Kajomo. Even you can inbox me. I will give you my number of Kenya. I will give you my details all. Thank you. I take this opportunity to thank you what you have done, your time you took with me to say idea. But I really I really appreciate your help. If you're willing to help me, I will appreciate your help. May God bless you all. May God protect you. May God add you more life, more life, more life. But I will meet you soon.
Thank you for taking this time to come on our show. We really appreciate it. It means a lot,
Yeah.
and it'll help the movement, actually.
And it sheds
so
light.
So much light, right? There's so much differences between what we're experiencing and you're
Mhm.
experiencing.
Right. But the one unifying factor is just that money helps, resources help, and to trust that people are inherently just decent, you know, and they're not going to be wasteful or, you know, spend time on vices. I mean, I think the whole story was made about this, you know, just handing people money being bad to just protect the powers that be. So they got this myth and they blew it out of proportion, and they got so many decent human beings believing in it. But now is we're just chipping away at that myth piece by piece. And once that myth completely collapses, I think humanity will be better for it. Amen.
Ariel, do you want to give your contact information in case anybody wants to get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitter, Ariel's _ Armada. That's ARIELS _ ARMADA. You can find me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/revolutionary thinking. And if you like drone photos, Instagram, Ariels _ Ariels. That's ARIELS _ AERIALS. And I think Vincent, I do have you as a friend on Facebook, but if anybody else
No.
wants to find, yeah, anybody
No.
else wants, no?
Yes.
Oh,
Did the
yeah,
power just
yeah,
go out?
yeah.
Vincent,
Oh.
did your power just go out?
Yes.
Where are you located right now? What building are you in?
Right now, it is blackout here. Power, it is blackout from Kenya Power.
Okay, remember that for us it is in the around noon or early, in the early afternoon, and for Vincent it's getting quite late. So it's actually nighttime out there.
Yes.
Wow, rolling blackouts. Is it really hot there, Vincent, right now? Sometimes it has to do with the heat that this happens. But yeah. So well, anyway, if you want to find me on Facebook, to anyone out there that's listening, it's ARIEL. That's my name, and then space BAKSHANDEH. That's my last name. So yeah.
Okay, do we have
Yeah.
Sheridan here with us still? He was very quiet during our stream, so what about, let's go to Faye then. Oh, Sheridan, you're back.
Yeah, sorry, I just had my mic muted. I've been listening to the wonderful conversation. And if anyone wants to follow me on Twitter, I'm at JSaberGamer, JSABERGAMER. And I really the Kenyan government get back to, because, well, it sounds like it's utterly ridiculous down there.
Okay, and Faye?
Hi, yes, you can find me on Twitter at Tisdoney, TISDONEY.
All right, Jeremy, are you with us right now? I'm going to go ahead and give my information. You can find me also on Facebook as Faye Koo, and I do enjoy meeting friends there. On Twitter, I'm at Palestine Math, and you can also find us find me occasionally on the Yang Gang Report Live, which is a Facebook page, and Vincent has joined us there before, and you can find Vincent's video where we actually share video that he took himself and some photos of people in his community. So look forward to seeing you at the Yang Gang Report. Shale, you want to take us out?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for putting this together. Faye, did you invite Vincent or Jeremy? How'd this happen?
Well, I had met Vincent earlier, and we did a Yang Game Report live, as I said. And because I was concerned that Vincent was trying to get help, but I could see that he was not able to, legitimize his request on his own. And so it really requires some of us to step up and, really give him a chance to talk to people and show that he's a real person and that he's doing really important things in his community. So
well, I'm really glad you did. Vincent, I'm really happy we can give you a platform and expand the reach of your story. Thank you for coming on. I hope we can have you on again. So yeah. My name is Shale.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Hello. Yes. Please come back again. I hope we will have you on again. So I'm Shale. My Twitter is SHAELRILEY. It's all right. It's fine. What were you saying, Faye?
I was just saying we should get Canada, UK, and Kenya and America on in one chat. Like, imagine that video.
I don't think that'll be beyond our reach. We could probably set that up.
It would just be a question of what time, because everybody's going to be at a different.
Trick, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching and listening, and we'll be back again later this weekend with more Yang Gang Roundtable UBI advocacy. So take care. Goodbye. Until then, be good to each other. Stay safe. And yeah, great show, guys.
I don't know if Jeremy's here to close out the Twitch stream.
I don't know, right?